Our organization was founded in the late 1980s. It was organized around a concept of renovating a large-scale property that had fallen into disrepair. And so part of the Mount Baker story is purchasing a problem property in southeast Seattle and really bringing that property back to life.
The previous owners of this property really had just let it, deteriorate. I was looking at, everything that was happening and what was, going on and what we were sending out into the streets. This place was like a cancer to the neighborhood.
We're helping to improve some of those problems and lower that crime. And at the same time, we're utilizing what's already there. We're not tearing down something that already exists, we're making it better. And I think that a large majority of our residents will stay with us when we purchase a property. Our goal is not to displace them.
They understand the connection between people and their environment. Obviously, things have changed drastically. As the results show, it was worth every little inconvenience that there was.
Finding the right property for Mount Baker Housing to purchase and renovate is a very methodical process. We've gone through and categorized all the buildings in the Rainier Valley, from unit size to year built to unit mix to location. We've graded them to what we think will be the best suit for our product and what we put out to the market.
From the late 1980s all the way up until 2010, all of the projects that we had worked on were large-scale acquisition rehab projects. And so at that point we said, well, why don't we bundle a group of properties together and do a large-scale renovation all at one time instead of going one by one as we had over the last 15 or 20 years. To work with a renovation program that was buying old buildings and renovating them required a unique loan product, and there wasn't one that existed in the marketplace.
Do you have a couple of stories of things that people would recognize in the community that are happening as a result of loans?
Sure. Well, the one it's been mentioned even in the newspaper. We did, from last year to this year, we did over, I think it's $7 million to an organization, Mount Baker Housing.
Rainier Valley Community Development Fund worked a way that we could increase our cash flow on the property and use that cash flow to do the renovations necessary to achieve the renovation goals.
And they've taken old housing and they're going to be refurbishing that and keeping the rent still very affordable. So we're very proud of that project. I think it's going to be a very good model.
The three most recent properties we purchased are Beach Court, which is a 21-unit apartment building, 39th Avenue Flats, which is a 30-unit apartment building, and Valley Commons, which is a 26-unit apartment building. These three buildings are all the same era, they're roughly the same unit mix, and they all have pretty much the same scope of work. We're really excited about purchasing the property. I invite you to take a look up on the board here of what our ideas are with the color scheme and just how it's going to look. We have a tenant meeting after we close, and we go in and introduce ourselves. We let them know that they don't need to move. We let them know that their rent is going to be staying the same. We let them know what the scope of work is going to be. We let them know who we are that will be on the property and who you need to contact for whatever reason. If you have a list of stuff that's broken, we want to know about it. I mean, we're not here to run away from the problems. We're here to fix the building and just...
No, but sometimes you just put up with stuff because it's like, oh, it's too much trouble.
Well, now things have changed.
Yeah.
Plain and simple, rehabbing a building is more efficient than building it from scratch. You save tons of money and resources, you save time. Every time we go into a new project, we look at each unit with a critical eye, meaning we don't just go in on a spreadsheet and say we're going to replace everything. We go into each unit, diagnose what needs to be fixed, what has remaining life on it, and then cater our rehab towards that. Sometimes there's units that are completely inhabitable. It's hard to imagine that somebody's been living there for the last week or maybe the last few years.
Something that Mount Baker has always seen in the particular properties that we've purchased and renovated is that they fit well within the community. At one point in their past, before they became a problem property, they were in a good location, and over time, through poor management and lack of investment into the building, things have gone downhill. And so when we see a property, we see what it could be. And so just to say that maybe an area is affordable already or the rent isn't that high, I think you need to go a step deeper and look at the actual conditions. With Mount Baker, our goal is to raise the bar to a home or a housing unit that somebody can be proud of. We've worked really hard over the last couple of years to build what's called a resident services program, as it helps facilitate the connection between a resident and a service that they might need, a human service need or a social service need.
I was pleasantly surprised when we moved in here that Mount Baker Housing had a resident services person, because when we moved here from Whidbey Island, and I knew nothing about the resources here.
So a lot of times our residents don't know something's available. They don't know who to contact, or there's oftentimes a line they need to stand in, sometimes literally, and our resident service coordinators can help with that process.
There are ways to help with power bill and just different things. If you have kids, they have ways of getting them into programs that are a lot like Job Corps, where you're working and making money but learning a skill at the same time. There are a lot of different resources that they have access to, and they're more than willing to help you. You just have to talk to them, and they introduce themselves to you, which is really awesome. They're really amazing.
The mission of their organization, they understand, they get it, that to provide people with safe and affordable housing is really, that's one of the most key things that could possibly be done, to change our society.